if you are trying to learn things, which is going to be the first step to any kind of entrepreneurial endeavor, is I like to liken everything to a bridge because I think it's a simple visual. So imagine where you are on one side of, this valley, right, is where you are. And where you want to go is on the other side of this big valley, right? And you have a bridge that goes across the two sides. Now, the problem is that people will buy things. They will buy courses, they will buy mentorships, they'll buy workshops, they'll buy seminars, they'll buy events, they'll buy whatever, right? In an effort on some level to get over this bridge, right, of where they are to where they want to go. And it could be from $0 to $100,000 a year. It could be from $1 million a month to $2 million a month. It could be from $100 million a year to $1 billion a year. Whatever it is, there's a bridge, right? Along that bridge are bricks. And I like to liken each skill as a brick on the way to where you're trying to go. And the problem with the expectations of somebody who's trying to learn a skill or achieve a goal is that they have a binary outcome. I either achieved it or I did not. I either am making $100,000 or I am not. And the problem is it can be incredibly frustrating because if you have a binary outcome, then it's very easy to get a 0 out of 1, right? Where the reality is most things exist on a continuum. And so this is the difference between a psychological binary and the biological continuum, which is, I'll give you a couple of examples. So it's not, are you diabetic? Are you not diabetic? It's how diabetic are you? Right? It's not, are you smart or are you dumb, but it's how smart are you, right? And so we like to psychologically bucket things into yes, no's because it's simpler for us, but it misses actual reality, right? And this can be especially dangerous as we're trying to acquire new skills. And so the reason I liken this, and I think it's so dangerous in education, because that's what we're doing, right? If we're trying to educate ourselves, we're trying to acquire skills, is that we think as we're trying to get across this bridge that let's say you buy a course on copywriting, right? And so you're on one side of the bridge, you buy a course on copywriting, and then you still aren't a millionaire. Wow, right? The problem is you may have put another brick on your bridge. You may be closer to where you were to getting to the other side of the bridge. You just haven't achieved it yet. And so this is one of the issues that I also see just in general. Like, it's so funny because in the, I'll say, quote, guru world, people will take on a coach. That coach will move them forward, to a certain degree. And then they'll take another coach and that coach will move them forward to a certain degree and so forth and so on. And then the thing is that they're like, I'm working with so-and-so. I used to work with that person. They suck, right? But the problem, and I used to do this, right? And this is why I think it's so ridiculous, is that like if you were looking at your schooling, right, and you had a third grade math teacher, and then later you had a calculus teacher, you wouldn't be like, screw that third grade math teacher. The stuff that I'm learning from this guy is so much more advanced, whatever, right? And I've had a lot of our clients say that about their franchises that they work with and things like that, and I just it drives me nuts because it's stupid. It's for lack of it, it's stupid because a lot of times you need step 1 to get to step 2, right? And you don't have to, and it's because people have psychological issues, but like they can't say I've learned from all of these people, right? And it doesn't decrease your status to say I've learned from many teachers. Look at all the richest people in the world. They say like I've had multiple mentors. I've had so many people help me out over the years. And I think if you can shift that perspective, it will be incredibly valuable for you. But one of the other things that's so poisonous about, especially in the quote make money world, is that if everyone in the world viewed college, because I think about this a lot, I'm like, why is it that people will spend $200,000, 4 years of their lives, study, Aztec literature of the 1700s and get to the end and not in any way be upset about the fact that they're not making money when they graduate or they can't even get a job? Like, why is that? And the only reason that I can come up with is that they didn't expect to, right? And so that's it. Like, that's the difference, is that people come in, and part of that is because of the marketing messaging and the sales and all that kind of stuff. So don't get me wrong. Like, the reason that, the big academic powerhouse has been able to stay there, well, one is because they got the government to get on board and give away free money. So that's obviously one part of it. But the other part of it is that when people are coming in, they expect nothing. Like nothing, literally. They're not expecting anything. They expect to get a check mark next to their name that says, you have a diploma, congratulations, right? And so if my request of everyone, and I've requested this of myself, is that when I go into trying to learn something, that I do not give myself a binary outcome of did this work or did it not work, but instead give myself the question, am I closer or further away from my goal? And I think that has been tremendously helpful. I've spent, recently I spent $50,000 on, I think 8 hours with someone. It was different than the Grant Cardone one that I did. That was 4 hours for 120,000 if you're curious. And honestly, I got enough value in the first hour that I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with the next 3 calls. with Grant. It was really good. But the point is with the other one that I did, it was actually to have assistance on a higher level project that I was working on. And about halfway through, I realized that it was not a priority for me. And so I could either say this got me, I'm not going to be like, hey, screw this guy, right? Or anything like that. It was just, for me, if I can get the perspective that something is not a priority, that is valuable in and of itself. And so does that take me closer or further to my ultimate goal? Closer. And so why would I be dissatisfied? And so shifting our education expectations to, is this another brick on the bridge to where I'm trying to go? Or instead of, am I at my destination or not? And I think that this is probably one of the biggest things that you can do, or like where it's been useful for me. And this is what I've tried to shift my neighbor's perspective for himself on, which is, it's kind of alignment with that kind of investor mindset, which is, if I were to look over a 5-year time horizon, and I were to continue to acquire skills like this, and I put more and more bricks on my bridge, by the end of that period, would I be better or worse off? And likely it'd be better, but you will be worse off if you keep trying to build a new bridge, right? And that's why when you jump from opportunity to opportunity, a lot of times you can never get to where you're trying to go because you take 2 steps of progress and say, oh, I'm not there, binary outcome, therefore I will start something else. And it's only after failing 3, 4, 5, 6 things that on the 7th thing, you had enough acquired skills from your first 6 failures that you are actually able to make it all the way across the bridge. And that's what's kind of interesting about this, is that, like, there are plenty of people who, have come to us and immediately start making a lot of money, right? And then they're like, oh my God, Gym Lunch is awesome. And the thing is that, like, we don't honestly deserve all the credit, because you probably, like, some of these people may have gone through 3, 4, 5 courses that they believe failed them, when in reality there may be 38 skill sets that they need to create their business, core skills, and they may have acquired 24 of them from other people, and we just happen to be able to get them the last 14 that gets them all the way across. But because they have a binary outcome expectation, they then attribute all the credit to us, and I don't think that's fair. To themselves in terms of their mental space, but also to everyone else that they've worked with, right? And so I think thinking about it this way has been really helpful, and especially, and this is, again, I mentioned the franchisor one earlier, but I'm going to say it again. I can't tell you the amount of facilities specifically that worked with a franchisor and then said, started working with us, started making more money, and we're like, I hate my franchisor, you got, screw them, blah, 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 blah. But the reality is that many times they wouldn't have even survived long enough without the fundamental bricks that have been laid by the franchisor with their business model. There's so many fundamentals that they may not even been aware of, and mistakes that they would have made that were avoided because the franchisor got them 70% of the way across the bridge, right? And we just got them the last 30.